we have a media specialist who works with more the science and research type things. I was telling her about you this morning.
Okay, folks, we're fixing to go live here.
All right.
We're live.
Hello, Facebook. All right. Hello, Facebook. We're here. Dallas Songwriters Association. We're going to have a little fun tonight. We've got a regular monthly meeting tonight, first Thursday of the month. And we usually have a speaker. Tonight we've got a great speaker. And then we'll have song critiques. Members can submit songs for critique and to be entered into the Songwriter of the Year competition and Song of the Year competition, both. Last year, Harry Hewlett won it all. He had the Song of the Year and the Songwriter of the Year. So you need to give Harry some kudos. But if you enter your songs, you'll be able to be a part of that. And it looks like we have our usual schedule of events. Every Wednesday, we have an open mic hosted by Harry Hewlett. Starts at 7 o'clock, and it's on Zoom, of course. And you can sing your original songs and, have some fun. Maybe get a little feedback on those as well. And then, of course, every Saturday from 12 to 3 o'clock, we have a global songwriter spotlight. And we usually have people from somewhere around the world as part of that. That's a spotlight show where each performer gets 30 minutes to showcase their own original songs. Sometimes they throw in a cover. And then, of course, the last Thursday of fourth Thursday of every month, we have the open mic / bring your own mic night at Leavenworth, Texas, which is a live event. So, put that down and try to make it out there if you, if you're brave enough. Hopefully, we'll all be getting our COVID shots here soon. I know Harry's got his first one. I've had my first one, and we've got our second ones. We're just going out there and being wild, aren't we, Harry?
Speak for yourself.
But does anybody have any questions or comments or anything that's on their minds about the songwriting or the DSA? Well, in that case, I'll go ahead and introduce our speaker for the evening. We're very excited to have Miss Emmeline Miles tonight. She's a musician and a candidate for Doctor of Liberal Studies at SMU Simmons School of Education and Human Development. Because music engages the entire brain and reaches aspects of the human spirit that are beyond words, the creation of music is uniquely capable of facilitating post-traumatic healing. Emmeline is doing research that seeks to identify whether the act of creative writing, with or without music, can better prepare children for adverse experiences and provide them with the tools to process those experiences. And she's also a very talented singer and songwriter, so we might have the pleasure of hearing some songs as part of her presentation tonight. So with that, I'd like to have Emmeline come aboard. Hello, Emmeline. Are you there? There she is.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
It is such an honor to speak to everybody tonight. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. How is everybody doing?
Well, great.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Doing well.
Yeah, so far so good, right? So I'm going to start by telling you a little bit of a story about how I got into this. I know there are a lot of big words in that intro, right? But I feel very blessed to get to do what I do. I have the opportunity when I don't play music of teaching music. And I've been able to discover some things about the way music works and the way the brain works that I think are helpful and hopefully can help children not only feel like they have an outlet for expression, as all of us feel when we write songs, but like they have a better shot at figuring out who they are and what they want to do. So that said, I was 2 when I discovered the transformative power of music. And I know what you're thinking, right? A 2-year-old doesn't form transformative memories, but I did. I did because my parents had this incredible black box with lots of buttons and a very prominent knob on it, a box that was conveniently right at my 2-year-old height. It wasn't the only black box in our living room, but it was the most important one because that black box played music. I loved music. I loved the way it felt. I loved the way it spoke to me, filled me up inside. I loved the way the beat commanded my clumsy 2-year-old feet to move. I loved the way the words seemed to speak directly to me, like someone with the best secret-telling voice was telling me the most special of secrets. The only problem with music was that my 2-year-old self had to wait for someone else to play it. So one day, I, in my great and powerful 2-year-old wisdom, decided to take matters into my own hands, despite strict orders from my parents not to touch the black box. I reached up for that black box and I pressed the buttons until the incredible black box worked the same magic for me that I'd seen it work for my father. It began to play a song. Maybe you've heard this song before. I heard an old voice sing, "Oh, I got the call today. I didn't want to hear, but I knew that it would come." And as Don Henley continued to sing Heart of the Matter, I was so excited I could barely contain myself. For once, I was controlling the music. I could make it bend to my will. I was drunk on 2-year-old power. Do not touch immediately became touch all the things. So naturally, I turned the knob. And then something horrible happened. The song got louder and louder and louder, and I couldn't get it to quiet back down. I was shocked and appalled. I pulled my hand away from the knob and put it over my ears, and when the music refused to cooperate, I started to cry. My parents found me in the den, next to the black box they call a CD player, sobbing hysterically. When I told my parents I was going to college to major in music, they began tagging many of their most cherished memories of my childhood with the gentle clucking of a tongue and the exclamation of, "Should have known then." My 2-year-old technological incompetence is, to my knowledge, the first of the should have known memories. I tell you this story not just as a cute story from my childhood to make me more endearing, although I hope it works. I tell you because my 2-year-old self illustrates so many things that have driven my research as an adult. First, music is powerful. I probably don't have to tell you that. You're all songwriters. Instead, I could just, ask you to close your eyes, right? Right now. So let's all close our eyes and think of your favorite song. Maybe you remember where you were the first time you heard it. Maybe you remember who you were with. Maybe you remember where you were the last time you heard it. Maybe you're so in love with music, and trust me, I feel you there, that you can't possibly pick a favorite song. See, music isn't just powerful because it makes us feel things. According to the cognitive psychologist Daniel J. Levitin, music is powerful because it is the only thing in the whole of human existence that has the potential to light up our entire brain. He writes, music listening, performance, and composition engage nearly every area of the brain that we have so far identified and involve nearly every neural subsystem. Dr. Levitin has made an entire research career out of identifying the connections music is capable of making in the brain. You can read about them in greater detail in his brilliant book, This Is Your Brain on Music, which was actually a bestseller, which is very strange for a scientific research book. But all you really need to know is that music is, so far, unparalleled in its ability to find common neurological ground. If we're searching for common ground in uncommon times, as we are so often today, that search may very well begin and end with music. Due to the second thing in my transformative musical education as a 2-year-old. So number 2, the only thing more powerful than music is the emotion it so often represents. As Levitin explains, music is often being used to manipulate our emotions, and we tend to accept it, if not outright enjoy it. The power of music makes us feel all these different things. After all, I risked parental condemnation to bring music that made me feel things. At the right volume, Don Henley's Heart of the Matter made my 2-year-old self feel amazing. To be honest, it also makes my 32-year-old self feel pretty amazing. At the wrong volume, it made me feel powerless and panicked and sad. See also hysterical sobbing. I think this is a great metaphor for life. At the right volume, our feelings add color to an otherwise dreary black, white, gray world. At the wrong volume, though, they become overwhelming, a cacophony of too loud, too bright, too much that threatens to level us with hysterical sobbing until someone turns the volume down. But here's the thing. As a 2-year-old, I could absolutely sob hysterically on the floor until someone came to help me. As an adult, not so much. But our feelings don't stop getting too big, too loud, and too much as we age. In fact, some might even argue that the stakes of those feelings get higher. But our social permission to feel those feelings decreases. Instead of feeling the overwhelming feelings, we feel like we have to be functional. We feel like we have to put on our big people pants and go to our big people jobs and pay our big people bills. We feel ashamed that our too loud, too bright, too much prevents us from looking or acting like other people around us. We stop sobbing hysterically in public. Well, we stop sobbing hysterically in public until we're at a concert and our favorite band is playing. And suddenly everyone is sobbing hysterically. Some of you might look skeptical. It's been a long time since we in COVID-19 have been to a concert. But I can guarantee you, when we all get back there, you're going to be surrounded by a bunch of hysterically sobbing adults, feeling too loud, too bright, and too much. See, music gives us permission to feel those too loud, too bright, too much feelings without shame, because music has a socially acceptable place to put those feelings. And when those feelings have somewhere else to live, they stop living inside of us. When Don Henley talks about a graceless age, he's not kidding. But he understands that the tenderness we all need begins with a song. I was 2 when I discovered the transformative power of music. But I was much older when I realized that we, as humans, might be able to harness that transformative power with something different than a black box. See, when I'm not standing at conferences or meetings, when I'm not acting in that academic space, or tucking my head between the pages of a textbook, trying to finish a dissertation, I'm writing songs, just like so many of you. I'm not going to talk about my songs today, though I'd love for you to check them out on Spotify or any other streaming platforms if you so desire. Instead, I'm going to talk about the songs I get to write with other people. Most specifically, the songs I get to write with my students. You might be thinking, what could kids possibly have to write about? They're kids, right? What crazy insights about life could a child possibly process? But remember, I was 2 when I discovered the transformative power of music. And songwriting? Songwriting is like the volume knob for those too loud, too bright, too much feelings. See, I started co-writing with kids when I was a camp counselor at a camp called Girls Rock Dallas, which affords girls in underprivileged communities the chance to come together for a week, to form a band, to write a song, and then perform that song at one of Dallas's most famous clubs. My first year as a counselor at Girls Rock Dallas, I had a really beautiful group of girls who were between the ages of 13 and 16. If you know any teenage girls, you know that they're very opinionated, that they tend to be a little shy when you put them in groups because they're not sure how they're going to be perceived. So we sat down for our first songwriting session. We got into a classroom that had been reformatted to be a band rehearsal space. Sat down next to the electronic drum kit, grabbed our notebooks and said, all right, let's write a song. I was ready to be the facilitator. I had my notebook out. I had my pen. I was ready to go. And I said, what do you guys want to write about today? What are you feeling? Silence. I said, well, surely there must be something you want to say. Silence. They started to do that thing that kids do, where they look around and you can tell that they're just itching to pick up their cell phone. Finally, the shyest girl in the group blurted out, I just found out my boyfriend was cheating on me. Immediately, all the other girls in our group went, no way! What a jerk! And all of a sudden, this girl who had been really quiet, who had somehow found the courage to blurt out her story, rather than feeling ashamed of what had happened, had a little light bulb go off over her head. And so she told us this story about this guy that she had been dating, as much as you can date at 13 when you don't have a car yet. It was pre-COVID, so they were holding hands at school because that was still something you could do. And one day, she discovered that while this guy was being kind to her in the hallway, after school, he was hanging out and kissing her best friend behind the bushes. She got done with this story and she looked at the other girls in the group and she said, I just want to know what's wrong with me. And I sat back and watched as the other girls were like, there's nothing wrong with you. That guy's a jerk. You should write a song about what a jerk he is. Oh, no, don't do that. Write a song about how you don't need him at all. How you're going to find someone so much cooler and you feel sorry for him. And sure enough, that's what they did. Bit by bit, line by line, piece by piece. And I watched a girl who hadn't spoken to anybody on the first day until she blurted out that first scary sentence, strut her way across the stage at Club Dada and tell an entire audience of strangers how much better she was. How much she didn't need this person who had done her wrong. And how, in finding her group of girls at this camp, she'd also found her power. When I was younger, I thought too loud, too bright, too much feelings were unique to me. That I was the only one who had these big feelings that I couldn't always live with. Sarah McLachlan proved me wrong. Her songs gave words to feelings I couldn't name yet, made me feel understood. I think Giselle's band gave her that same gift. Writing her song gave her too loud, too bright, too much feelings a place to live. It afforded her the opportunity to see that they weren't all that uncommon. They were nothing to be ashamed of. See, nothing dispels social shame like social acceptance. Not of your highlight reel, like we so often see on social media, but of the parts you think are most ugly, those things you're afraid to blurt out in a crowd. I had the privilege of serving later as a guest artist at Mullendore Fine Arts Day, where I got to go into a room of kids ages 4 through 7 and help them write songs as a group. We talked about songwriting, we talked about genres, we talked about styles, we talked about their favorite artists. And then, as always, I took out my pad, I took out my pen, I sat down and I said, all right, class, what do you want to write about? What's going on in your lives? What do you want to share? That awkward silence fell over the class again. And then a little boy looked up and blurted out, sometimes my dad hits my mom. From across the room, another kid stood up and went, no way, me too. I had a moment of terror because we were in a public school system now. And I thought, this is the moment. This is the moment the counselors are going to shut this down, come in and say, you know what? We're digging up some stuff that we don't need to be digging up. But music is that safe space for those feelings that are too loud, too bright, too much. And so what happened instead was I took a couple of looks at the door to make sure nobody was going to barge in. I sat down with my pad and I said, all right, how does that make you feel? And the two boys across the room looked at each other, and then one of them said, like if I were bigger, I could protect her. And this girl stood up and went, like the Hulk? He was like, yeah, like the Hulk. And the other boy said, ooh, or what if we were all superheroes and we could save all the moms? And they were like, yeah, we should write a song about how we're going to save all the moms. And so they wrote a rap song that ended with, she's going to be all right because I'm a superhero and she's got me. According to Vincent J. Filidy's Adverse Childhood Experience study, this child was not alone in his experience of domestic violence. Conducted in 1996, the Adverse Childhood Experience Study, or the ACE study as it's colloquially known, found that 52% of children have endured some kind of prolonged traumatic childhood experience inside their home with their families. If you broaden that to include exposure outside the nuclear family unit, the statistic jumps again to 72%. Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris found in her work in the Bay Area that this exposure to trauma, not only in the nuclear family, but in the surrounding neighborhood, results in psychological problems and physical problems. See, when we encounter difficult things, our brain is flooded with a chemical called cortisol. That chemical is supposed to help us do important things, like survive. Like if we were fleeing from a bear. But our body is not built to flee from a bear every single day. And the flooding of cortisol has structural and functional effects on our neurology and on the rest of our lives. Knowing this brought me to an important question. We know that songwriting therapy works reactively because it helps the writer to experience a feeling of pride. I'm sure we've all experienced this. You take something difficult in your life, you turn it into a song, you play it for a group of people, and suddenly you're not alone. We talked a little bit before the meeting about people who miss screaming fans and smoky bars. I think part of the reason we miss them is that connection. That realization that our too loud, too bright, too much happens with other people all the time. Therapeutic songwriting also empowers the writer to share his or her experience with others who've had those feelings. It dispels shame, creates bonding. Music allows us to find common ground. But can it work proactively? Can we be taught not to quiet the part of us that sobs hysterically, but to put it in a song? I've begun testing this in case studies, and I'm in the process of building a better way to test it on a broader basis. I'm writing a very long paper in the process. But I thought I'd share with you some lyrics from students who haven't yet encountered the kind of trauma that would register on the ACE scale, but who have the same too loud, too bright, too much feelings that work perfectly in a song. One of my students came to me and said, I wrote a song because you said music is where we put our feelings. And I said, yeah, sure. She was like, okay, well, this might be bad, but I'm going to show you anyway. And I said, I promise not to say anything until you're done. So she wrote a song called Four Paths that went, 4 paths to go, always in the wrong direction. I don't know where to go, don't know who I am. I've got 4 paths, nowhere to go. I'm always in the wrong direction. 4 paths, Up, down, left, right, north, south, east, west, 4 paths. Don't know which way to go. Don't know who I am just yet. Hope the directions fit someday. And she got done, and I had this realization that if you encourage children from a young age, not just to play music for the sake of mastery, not just to sit there and play scale after scale after scale just so you can prove to someone that you know them, but to take ownership of your music, to say, okay, well, now that I know that scale, what could I do with those notes? If you encourage them to ask the whys, and if you encourage them to take what they know and use it for their own purposes and not just for the validation of someone else, they start to feel comfortable sharing their doubts, sharing their big feelings, and not just sharing the sad stuff, but also sharing the happy. I think a different student of mine, Mark, said it best when he said it this way. Sometimes I stay up in the bed, wondering who I am, but the only progress that I make is that I'm not nothing, but I'm not the only one. Everyone can be someone, so don't complain, don't cry, don't keep asking why. Don't tell me that you're done, 'cause everyone can be someone. Just hold your head up high, don't be ashamed or shy, 'cause you're not nothing. When I jacked the volume all the way up on my parents' old CD player, Don Henley was singing, Reed screaming, a truth that I'm still trying to come to terms with. The more I know, the less I understand. And all the things I thought I knew, I have to learn again. All these years later, I'm still trying to get down to the heart of the matter. And I do think it's about forgiveness. I think it's about forgiving ourselves for being messy, for sobbing hysterically, for all of our too loud, too bright, and too much. And I think we might be able to find that forgiveness in a song. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Emmeline. That's a lot of good information, a lot of good thoughts, and to learn how, we never think about kids. I don't think about kids learning music at a young age, although I should, but we try to mentor young people.
Yeah, I think it's not just about teaching them, right? But it's about how you teach them.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to take any questions that you all have, if there's time.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I do. So when when you have these kids,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying, "All right, let's write a song,"
Mm-hmm.
and they're coming up with lyrics, and I guess they probably are also coming up with a melody in their head. But even I don't always know the chords I'm supposed to play or have a mastery of music theory. Is that something that you then help them with, or you take their melody and figure out the piano piece to it? How's that all come together?
So that depends. I'm glad you asked. That's a really good question. It honestly depends on the forum. Obviously, when I'm doing a group session, when I come into a classroom and it's the first time they've ever seen me, excuse me, there's a lot of helping them through it. They'll have some words or they'll have a style that they want, and we'll start to put those words together as a group, and that's more of a collaborative process. Some of that is timing too, because when I do a facilitator session like that, I only have about an hour. And we want to make sure that within that time, they get their song. They get to kind of see how it all worked out, and they get to share their feelings, because I don't know that I'll be able to come back. With my private students, I stressed from the beginning. I mean, I'm a little bit biased in this because I am a music theory major. My undergrad degree is in theory, but I tried to stress from the very beginning the theory, not because you have to memorize the theory, but for exactly the reasons that you're talking about. This is the thing that's going to help you understand which chords to use. This is the thing that's going to help you figure out what language of music you need when you're expressing yourself. Because we learn as children how to express ourselves in words, but music is a language. And I think when you teach them the language and you say, it's okay for you to use this for your purposes, then their attitude towards it changes. And what I find is, rather than having students who regurgitate exactly what's on the page, I have students who, when they feel comfortable, will tell me, Miss Emmeline, I was looking at this Beethoven sonata, and I don't think there needs to be a forte there. And what I'll say to them is, okay, I hear you. Why not? And usually they have a very clear, thought out answer. They're like, no, well, it was really dramatic up until this point, but it kept getting more and more and more dramatic, and then it fell off, and then it should stay piano, because that's not the tense part of the song. Beethoven's not angry anymore by this point. And I find that fascinating, because what that says to me is that they're taking ownership of their knowledge, and then they're making intentional choices about how to shape not only the things that they want to write, but the things that they've been encouraged to play. And that's a different style of education. But it's one that I have found particularly fruitful, because it means that when students get to be 15, 16, 17, and they get their own phones and they start texting me, I get messages that are like, had a really horrible day, came home, played piano, might have broken a key, feel better. And to me, that's what it's all about. I think we've all had those days where we come home and we pick up our instrument and we realize, you know what I tell my kids all the time, so I'm like, the piano is way bigger than you. Could you move it? I'm like, no. Could you carry it? No. Do you think you're gonna break it? Probably not. So do you think it can handle your feelings? And they all say yes. And I think when you encourage that from a younger age, what you see is them start to use it. In the same way that you teach a kid what a stop sign is, or what a red light is, or green means go. They learn that they're able to use this thing, and then they use that thing rather than turning to drugs or deciding to pick up a gun, God forbid, and go into a classroom full of strangers. And my hope is that if we make that style of education widely available, what we get is a group of people who understand how to self-regulate in a way that allows them to make things that are messy beautiful. That was a really long answer. Did I answer your question?
More or less.
Emmeline, you referred to the 2-year-old Emmeline. Are you saying that's when your musical journey began at 2 years old?
I would say so. You'd have to ask my parents for confirmation on that one.
That's curious to me, because that's when my awareness and interest and journey began at 2. My father was a touring country western band, and he put me on the stage from time to time at 2 and 3 years of age. And I really took to it. I really liked it. And I didn't start writing until I was a teenager, but music became an important part of my life at a very young age, just like you. And I think it would for a lot of other young kiddos if they had the exposure and the direction.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's so nice. I've never met anybody else who was like, yes, 2. So I stand in solidarity with you. 2 is a good age for musical realization.
Do you teach in a public school or private school setting?
I currently teach in a private studio, but so I have my own studio, and I have about 35 private
Oh,
students.
this is not a school room.
I facilitate, so I act as a guest artist or a facilitator at public schools. I have taught in different studios over the course of my career, but ultimately what I discovered is that because what I'm doing is different than the standard curriculum, I needed a space outside of a current educational institution to continue doing what I felt was the right thing for me.
That makes sense. So parents find out about you and then bring their kids to you, or are these private lessons or group lessons?
Yes, sir.
They're both
Both.
private and both group.
Yeah.
Is it more as a music teacher or as a music therapist?
So music therapy is a field that focuses mostly on treatment of things. And the mode of music therapy is that they focused a lot on treating known medical conditions. And I think what happens is kids who are exposed to trauma kind of fall through the cracks until they're diagnosed with something medical. So it is a sort of music therapy, but it's not something that has been explored widely yet. I hope that changes.
So is that what your dissertation is? Did I hear that right? That you are going to, so do you have like a cohort of students that you teach music writing to, and you're going to follow them proactively and see how they deal with their adverse events? How's that work?
So
I'm curious because I'm a scientist myself, so I'm kind of.
No, I think what it requires is a longitudinal study, and I don't currently have the funding, and the school within SMU where I exist as a student have the funding to support a longitudinal study that would be necessary for something like this. So what I have done is I've taken two components, right? I have my educational observations over the course of, God, almost a long time of teaching. We won't say how long. And then I have interviews that I'm conducting with people who have stayed in music and people who have left music to determine what kept them there and what caused them to leave and how they musical journalists. Pardon?
So qualitative, but nonetheless somewhat randomized.
Exactly. And then arguing that because of what I've observed, because of what I'm finding as I continue to interview, there needs to be a longitudinal study.
Absolutely. I was just going to tell you, I worked as a kid when I was much younger, worked with disturbed adolescents. And when I say disturbed, I mean disturbed. And we used to make a lot of use of art therapy. It wasn't therapy. They used art. It sounds like something of what you were doing. They used art to identify perceptive patterns in the kids. And it was very useful and very scary to see, because what people can do is really unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's kind of terrifying as a facilitator to walk into a room where I have 30 strangers under the age of 6 and hear them confess those things.
Mm-hmm.
I think it speaks to the safe space that music creates almost automatically.
Mm-hmm.
And it also indicates to me that they are crying out for someone to take them seriously. Yeah, that's beautiful work that you did. That's a really important thing.
Fascinating. And it's just, as you know, you're kind of, it's a very deep well that you're trying to take the water out of, and, you do the best you can.
Absolutely. But I think, those of us that work in that space, I think we have to realize that every step counts.
Oh, yeah.
Every child counts. And, even when we don't see things being implemented on a grander scale, which can be discouraging, all I can do is continue to do the work that I do and contribute to the scholarship, and hope that through the institutions with which I work and through the people with whom I speak, like you all, the word gets out and we start to turn some of this around.
Light a candle, don't curse the darkness.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that.
I have a question.
Please.
Two parts. Have you worked with the elderly, in nursing homes and what have you? And do you see parallels between their musical needs and what have you is with the children?
That's a really good question. I haven't. I have worked with adults, and I have worked as a teacher with adults on a one-on-one basis, but I have never done the same kind of facilitation that I do with kids with adults. What I have learned is that shame, I guess the best analogy I can make is that when something starts to rust, the rust builds up over time. And I think shame works that way sometimes too. It just kind of builds on itself and builds on itself and builds on itself. And when I do songwriting with adults, there is a lot of unlearning that has to happen. Just because, you know, we do get told, don't sob in public. Don't be too loud. Your feelings are not welcome here. Don't be angry. Lower your voice. And I think that there's a space for all of those things. And I understand that we have to function in a socially acceptable way. But when that's the message that you receive, and I think sometimes that message is gendered. But I think when that's the message that people receive over and over and over, they start to internalize those messages. And do I think it's needed in adults? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think I wonder sometimes if it's a longer path for those of us that haven't already begun to travel it, because we do have to kind of work through that internalized suppression.
All right.
That's your question here.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, I used to play for a lot of nursing homes and the really elderly, and sometimes Alzheimer's patients would react very strongly to music, like old gospel songs or whatever. They just start singing, you know, and maybe they hadn't said anything in weeks to anybody, but once the music starts, they just lighten up, or light up. I mean, it's very powerful with the elderly, and I would think that maybe when you get old enough, you sort of go back into a childlike state.
I hope that's true. I've played concerts at a lot of nursing homes, and my favorite experience, there was a woman who hadn't said much, and I finally said, do you all have any requests? Is there anything you'd like me to play? And she from the back yelled, "Sexy Back" by Justin Timberlake. And I told her, I was like, that is not what I expected you to say, but I'll play it for you. And I got done and I said, can I play anybody else anything they want to hear? And she leaned back and went, "Sexy Back" by Justin Timberlake. I think I played it for her 3 or 4 times before she was like, "I think I'm good now." But you're right, it does have the potential to bring so much joy. And I just think that that's, further testament to the power of music and the power of what you guys are doing with the Dallas Songwriters Association.
Good. Well, thank you so much, Emmeline. We really appreciate it. And you've been a wonderful.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's been an honor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Come on, I'm going to look you up on campus.
Oh, yeah, please do.
I will.
Please do.
Okay, Emmeline, I have a question.
Yes.
What are your musical influences? Who do you listen to?
My musical influences?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, everything. Honestly, you'd probably be better off asking me what I don't like, because I really do listen to everything. But when I think about the people who really shaped how I approach songwriting and how I learned to express myself through music, I think about people like the Eagles. I think about Sarah McLachlan was a big one. All of the people who came through on Lilith Fair, Jewel, Lisa Loeb. Ani DeFranco is another female who exists in that independent artist space who's really phenomenal. I love the turns of phrase of people like Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20. I love a good harmony, so I was a fan of all of the boy bands when they came through. But I think all of those, I can find something redeemable in most music. I think as songwriters, it's our duty to listen and to absorb, because we're learning a language. And the only way we get more fluent in that language is to hear other people practice it. And
If not already, I suggest you check out, if you're not already a fan of her, check out Kate Bush and I'm forgetting the girl who sang Snowflake Girl.
Oh,
and
Tori Amos.
Tori Amos, exactly.
Yeah. Silent all these years. No, she's phenomenal and has done so much for pianists. Ben Folds is another one who I just love.
Yeah.
Sarah Bareilles is great. I could go on for a really long time.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
My all-time favorite is Kate Bush.
Okay, I'll have to listen to more Kate Bush then.
Yeah, check out her very first single, Wuthering Heights. Check it out.
Yeah,
Really out there.
I like that. I think it's great.
Check it out. All right, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
your time.
much.
All right. Well, Harry, do we have any song critiques to do tonight?
A few.
All right.
Hang
Well,
on
I'll
just a
turn it
second.
over to you. Tell us what's going on.
Well, generally we have We have people show up at the last minute with songs, but to start off with, let me show you what we got. We had 4 songs a while ago.
So Seth, you're doing 2, is that correct?
We've got. I'll tell you
Affirmative.
what we got. Now I've got one song by Louis Kate. He sent it in and then we got one song by Seth Ginsburg.
Oh,
Who's he?
I've got him written.
Well, he's related to Ace Pounder.
I thought I said in 2, Harry.
Well, if you did, I've only got the one here, and then we got.
I got payment for 2.
I'll go back and check that. Then Rocket in Flight. We have 2 Rocket in Flight and Should Have Kissed You by Stephen Traum. So we got 4 songs there, and I guess we got 5 if I'll go look at that email on that other.
I could do one. I got one, Harry.
And Michael Roth, it looks like he's got a song. Did you bring lyrics?
I did.
Okay.
If you want me to send it to you, I can just play it from here.
Okay, let's see. Okay, Joe's here.
We like to have lyrics.
Okay, hang on just a second here.
That would be 6 for tonight.
Okay, I'm going to put it on portrait view, and we're going to go back to, there's Emmeline. She's still there. Okay, I'm going to find Barb. She's one of our judges. I'll put a spotlight her, and then I'm going to find Joe Milton. He's down there somewhere hiding.
I didn't recognize him. He's
There he is. He's got it. He's got his COVID beard on.
can't believe it.
It looks good, Joe. Hey, Joe, we can't hear you, Joe. You're gonna have to turn your volume on there. You're muted.
Joe, unmute.
And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna share the screen. Can you hear us, Joe?
Yeah,
Oh, he's here. Okay, he's here. Okay,
I've been here the whole time, Harry.
I've been here the whole time. Well, I knew you had, Joe.
Are we having critiques from Emmeline as well? You can put her up.
Yeah, Emmeline. I have asked Emmeline to make critiques too. Let me put her up. I didn't mean. I did not mean to slight you, Emmeline.
Oh, no, I did not feel slighted in the slightest.
I'm still a novice after a year of doing this. Look at there. We got 3 people on the screen.
Hey, there we go.
It probably won't show up. It's not going to show up that way. Hang on just a second. No, if I do portrait view, let's try this. We're just experimenting here. I mean gallery view.
Everybody will come up.
Everybody come up, yeah. But everybody will show up over there. So I'm gonna put it back on speaker view. Now, you've got 3 on the screen, but over on Facebook right now, that it's not going to show 3 on the screen. But when but the video that I download and post later will show all 3 on the YouTube. Now don't ask me to explain that, but that was what we found out the last time we tried to do this. Okay, so now then I'm going to share the screen. See what happens here. Share sound. Optimize for video.
So Barbie, it's been 7 months since you've been to a meeting because that's how long I've been sporting the beard.
Okay, can y'all see my screen?
It's long.
Okay. Huh?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Let's just start at the top. We'll do Louis Kate. I'll get his lyric up here. Hearts in Heaven. And I will send him a recording of this when it's all done. Word does not just pop up on the screen. Not my screen, anyway.
Mine either.
But it's coming. I can feel it. And there it is. Okay, let me go back over and get the song now. And we'll go back to the lyric. Okay, here comes the song.
I still don't see a lyric. Are we?
Well, I have to get the song started.
Oh, This is funny, Joe. I guess your beard, I guess you've got more of a beard than you had last time I saw you or something.
He's ZZ Top here in a while.
Well, I don't know why this thing isn't going here. Let me see.
Make it work, Harry.
I'm going to make it work.
Here, I got the screen.
Half my heart in hand.
There we go.
Half my heart's in heaven since you flew away. Half my heart's in heaven, and there it'll stay. What I'm supposed to do now, no tongue can tell. Half my heart's in heaven, the other half's in hell. Never be free of your memory. That's my sacrifice. It's selfish wishing you're still here with me. Instead of paradise. It's cool, you spend all your time with the King of Kings. I'm here trying to learn how to fly with two broken wings. Half my heart's in heaven since you flew away. Half my heart's in heaven, and there it'll stay. What I'm supposed to do now, no tongue can tell. No tongue can tell. Half my heart's in heaven, the other half's in hell. I bet St. Peter didn't stop you at the pearly gate. Crayon angels don't have to wait. I know you laugh when you hear me pray. I try to be good so I can join you someday. Hermanos tuas, Domine, commende, spiritum meum, ille. Half my heart's in heaven since you flew away. Half my heart's in heaven, and there it'll stay. What I'm supposed to do now, no tongue can tell. Half my heart's in heaven, the other half's in hell. Half my heart's in heaven, the other half's in
Okay.
That was a nice song. I really like the lyrics. I love the "Half My Heart's in Heaven" part. I think it's original, and it's a good hook, and it's used a lot. I'm not sure that the music kind of fits the lyric, though. I mean, music. It just seems like the music is so happy. The lyric isn't. So, I'm not sure that I would use that kind of a production on that song. But I like the production if it had a different subject in the lyric. It reminded me of some 80s productions or something like that, so it was all right. But I don't know. The only thing that, and this is a well-constructed song, the only thing that bothered me was the tongue lyric, and I'm not sure why it bothered me. I was trying to figure out, why don't I like that? No tongue can tell. I mean, it's a nice alliteration and stuff, but I don't know why I just didn't like the way it sounded. I'm not sure why. Maybe somebody else can or maybe I should like it. I don't know.
Speaking in tongues.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just I think you could say that a little better, but
It should have. They could have put the word "no word can tell." No words can tell.
no words can tell or something else. I don't,
Tongue is a little too yucky.
well, just I don't know. When you're thinking of tongues, speaking in tongues, or or then I think about the Indians back in the old Western movies would talk with crooked tongue or something. I don't know. It's like it just
No language, no is what it means. No language can identify it. Speaking in tongues, no tongue can tell, no language knows, no communication can discern it.
Yeah.
That's I think.
So, and then that might be me because a younger person might not remember Tonto saying he speaks in forked tongue, from back in the 50s. Somebody else, that might not be in somebody else's memory. So I don't know, That's the only thing. I think this song is very well written. I really liked it a lot.
Did you ever see the first episode of The Lone Ranger?
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. And I saw the movie about the first episode of The Long Ranger.
One of the best pieces of TV or entertainment ever written. When
Yeah.
Tonto finds the Lone Ranger dying, he finds out that he saved him as a child. Lone Ranger saved Tonto from the burning teepee when the cavalry had attacked the Indian reservation, and that's why Tonto saved the Lone Ranger.
Yeah, and so
Very, very touching.
there was a movie like done back in the early 2000s or something that was about that episode. I can't remember what the name of the movie was though.
Okay, are we done with this song?
I actually have a comment.
Okay.
I was just waiting.
Great. It's your turn.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I loved the production on it. I think it worked for me. It's very Madonna reminiscent. And I think, the layers of harmonies work with that sort of 80s vibe. And I think that this song does fit that niche really well. I could hear it in the club. I think it fits nicely with the dance style. The one lyric that gives me pause, because so much of it is so cleverly written, is "half my heart's in heaven and there it'll stay." I kind of feel like the latter half of that line is a throwaway. I think there's maybe a more effective ending to that line. Because, you have this like very clever ending to the chorus that is, half my heart's in heaven, the other half's in hell. And then you set up this dichotomy over the course of the song that works really well. And I think there's a beautiful irony sometimes for a thoughtful song to be heavily produced, because we don't pay close attention sometimes to pop music, but we should. So I think that's my comment, is I would love to see, I love the layered harmonies on Stay, so I hesitate to say that, but I think to elevate it even further, I would love to see a less predictable half of that line.
We don't pay attention to pop music.
I think audiences don't. I think, ask somebody to sing the first verse of a pop song.
Okay.
No, but I'll hit you on the chorus.
Yeah,
stop someone on the street and ask them to sing "Call Me Maybe," and what you get is, na, 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 na. "Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy," na, 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 right? Nobody pays attention to the words, but I think we should, because there's so much clever stuff in there. And I think it's always a nice surprise when a song gives you more reasons to listen again and again and again.
So Joe, if you had this song to produce, how would you produce it?
I mean, I kind of agree with you. I think it's.
No, we don't.
Louis pumps out a lot of songs, and it's. I mean, I can see where the heavily produced dance thing, but I mean, if he's that happy about losing or whatever's happened to him,
somebody's died,
and it's a little well-crafted, little scientific for me, a little predictable.
I think his partner has died. That's the way I'm getting it. Because
But I just think it's a little too what I would expect going down. You know, not all the words, but the hook's good. You know, it's a cute song, well crafted.
they flew away, so I'm thinking that's the soul, and I don't know.
And I get accused of, you know, producing happy songs about sad things. So I can't kick about that.
Yeah, I'm not saying it shouldn't be up tempo, but it might. I don't know. Might just be.
It's just a bluegrass version of a pop song. I mean, a pop version of a bluegrass song.
Okay, what do you think?
Nate is always, his lyrics are great. He wins our song contest a bunch. He was one of our winners just recently. He's his songs are always great, and fortunately he never gets to perform because he doesn't perform. He has other people sing his songs, so we don't ever get to see him performing or anything. But it's certainly nice to hear his songs in the meeting critique.
Got to brush up on the dial a little bit.
The only critique I have with this tune, it kind of splits it all. It's half religious and then it's half pop tune. I mean, I understand where he's coming from, but it reminds me of South Park when they took up pop tunes and they added Jesus to it and they, opened up a whole new avenue right there. So, you kind of listen to this and you think it's about a guy who lost his girlfriend, but then as it goes on through more, then you realize he's more talking about he lost his faith, or he's confused about his faith.
Okay, I missed that.
Well, he goes, half my heart's in heaven, the other half's in hell, and then never be free of my memory. And he gets down towards the end where he's actually selfish, wishing you're still here with me. Is he talking about Jesus, that he lost that faith, or did it come away, or something like that? That's what I get when I read this. Did he, half my heart's in heaven since you flew away? Did he lose his faith? Is he confused?
Secundum magnum misericordiam tua is all I got to say.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
I know.
Purgatory ought to be in there somewhere.
That last. I don't know that.
Well, that's where he goes all using a passing over a chord, B minor.
That could be the bridge.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, let's do another song here. Okay, next down on the list, this is Seth Ginsburg, and it's let's see, what's the name of this here? I've Got a Thing for You, and then we'll go look for that other song. Seth,
I've got a thing for you, Seth Ginsburg. That's a little self-aggrandizing, isn't it?
Okay, there's the song. Let me scoot that over here. Okay, I've got a thing.
Don't scoot it underneath the pictures, Harry.
I'll scoot it back.
At least what I have of all the screens, and then it was half the lyrics were covered up.
You can't see this? Oh, I'm looking at the whole screen here.
But if you scoot it up more to the right, it's underneath everybody's screen.
Okay, well, I'm not seeing what you're seeing. But
I've known that for a long time, Harry.
we're in different worlds, Joe. Okay,
But our worlds collide, Harry.
Okay, let's see how long this one takes to play.
Yeah, I've noticed that when I'm trying to do another application in Zoom, it doesn't want to start real fast.
Well,
I need more.
It'll start though. That last one played.
I kind of fought it for a while.
First off, now where is the lyric okay for everybody?
If you can
As long as you scroll it later on. And you don't have to start with the title. You can start it scrolled up a little bit.
Scroll it, yeah.
It's very small.
Can you
There you go.
Can you do full screen? Can you do full?
I can do full screen, but let me start the song first.
plus thing on the document?
I don't want to be a cad or write checks I will never be able to cash.
That's too big.
But I thought you'd like to know that you have gained a fan, and I must confess, I have a little crush. I got a thing for you, a sort of ring for you. Don't tell nobody, but it's true. I got a thing for you. You tend to make me smile when your posts arrive. You've made a friend, and that is true. I got a thing for you. No, we have never met in person, and probably won't ever have the chance. There's no English word for our relationship. Maybe 21st century pen pals with a hint of romance. You brighten up my day. I hope it goes both ways. Your charm is like a spice, it's really nice. I got a thing for you. I got a thing for you. I got a thing for you. Don't tell nobody, but it's true. I got a thing for you. Ba ba da ba ba. Dee ba da ba dee ba. Da da ba ba da. I got a thing for you.
Okay, sorry, I had to get close to the screen to see it. Joe, you want to? We'll take turns in starting off.
Well, cute song. The intro kind of, I was having trouble making that out. I mean, you know, it's cool what it is. It's kind of an old style thing on a new style theme. I assume that's talking about your post and your, you know, it was all right. It's cute words. I don't quite know what I would do with it, but I might, you know, not make the I've got a thing for you and you tend to make me smile and you brighten up my days and I got a thing for you the same. I might have changed those up a little bit to where you had a specific I've got a thing for you that was more defined, even though it's different than the fourth one. I don't know. It's kind of cute. That's all. That's all I got.
Emmeline.
It gives me Randy Newman vibes.
I was just gonna say that.
Barb, I'm glad we were on the same page, thinking the same thing. No, it did. It gives
You
me
would
Randy
go,
Newman.
I've got a thing for you.
Exactly. You got a friend in me. Yeah. I like it, and I mean, I think for that reason, like, it endeared me to it pretty immediately. But what I would love to see if this gets produced out is to kind of play into the theatrical nature of it. Because if music is the creation and release of tension, right, you always want to keep the audience guessing. So you don't want to let things become too familiar over the course of the song. And because this has so many great sections and tempo varies, and you know, there's already kind of a theatrical vocal delivery because it is very Randy Newman. I would love to see that in production played up even more. I think that could really set it off, and serve to illustrate kind of the emotional push and pull that the song seems to be discussing.
Okay.
I liked it. I thought it was really cute. Good hook on it, and you repeated the hook. I was at first I thought, okay, this is an AABA song, and then with an intro, with a spoken intro. But then I thought, well, except that you do have a repeated chorus, but then you have another 4 lines that is a chorus as well, but it's different lyrics. So it was a little bit unusual in the structure of it. But I love Randy Newman, so it endeared me to this song right away. And so good job, Seth. It's very well crafted. Your structure, your rhyme structure is good, etc.
Guy writing from prison.
Seth, what was the name of your other song?
I don't think he's on the call anymore.
Really? Was it that bad, Seth?
Did we lose him?
Well, he wasn't here before. I don't see him on the gallery view.
Well, huh.
It would be Ace Pounder. Oh, he's not.
He might have got knocked off. I don't think he wouldn't get mad.
No, I tell you what though, let's wait. Let's wait on his other song until
We'll wait till he comes back. Yeah, if he comes back.
comes back in, and then it's
Yeah.
not.
Okay. So we'll go down to we got Rocket in Flight, Stephen Tram. Let me get the lyric up on that.
So these are rough studio mixes. So
No excuses.
No excuses.
Y'all.
well, I'm telling you that because the genre isn't going to change a whole lot, but we can still cut and paste and move things around and change some lyrics and stuff.
That last one was a rough studio mix too.
Okay, there's Rocket.
This is
in
less
Flight.
rough.
Okay, let me find the song here now.
I hope it's less rough.
You say I gotta get on track, but I'm on the attack and I'm not looking back. You say
Very good.
Thank you.
That was really good, Steve.
That was great.
I really like the song is reminding me of some band from the 90s. I can't think of it.
Yes, now.
David Bowie.
Okay.
Take all of it.
I think it's a very well constructed song, and you know, your hook and your title is well placed and repeated, and your groove is perfect for the song. And who played that guitar solo? Wow.
Yeah.
That was actually a combination of me and the guy I was producing. I let him do a little cameo guitar work on it.
That's good. I liked it.
I thought it went. His solo sounded better than mine, so I left his in there because it's all about the song. It wasn't about just me playing a guitar solo at that point. So
Little Tom Petty's.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a little bit of what it reminds me of, sort of. But
it's supposed to be a little bit classic rock mixed with Brit pop and like the late '80s, early '90s college alternative rock.
Steven, do you know who the Jayhawks are?
I have heard them, but I have not listened to them.
This reminds me a lot of the Jayhawks.
I hope you like them.
I told you, I like all the things. No, I liked it a lot. I always feel like for me to say I like it or I didn't like it, that doesn't matter, right? Music is so subjective that to anybody who's watching this or anybody who's on the call, if somebody tells you they don't like your music, it doesn't mean it's terrible. It means that you have to find somebody who likes your music.
This is a producer's song, a good producer.
But I mean, it's very well produced. It's very catchy. It's honestly, I think this song has a lot of commercial appeal.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've thought about licensing it in that way.
Big time.
But I think that there's a lot of potential for it in that space. I mean, the things that you're talking about, like light and, you know, being in flight, I think those are common celebratory themes that just make people feel good.
Yeah.
Well, it's about trying to aspire to do great things despite naysayers all around you is what the theme is. And yeah, when it's all said and done, it's one of the songs on the album that I'm putting together that I'm potentially going to try to promote a little bit more for radio airplay or whatever, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, very cool. I would send this to KXT.
The only thing I would suggest is the last, you know, when you say I'm a rocket in flight, the chorus you say I'm a rocket in flight, and then I'm a rocket in flight. Whenever you have that last flight that you use, it ought to go up instead of down.
I liked the falsetto at the end. That was nice.
Thanks.
I'd put a baritone sax in the background.
The theremin. I have one comment.
I think every song needs more theremin.
I got a theremin. Well, first I'll make my comment. I got a theremin story.
Brian Wilson would like that comment.
I was just about to say I will be the Brian Wilson in the group.
I thought your bridge was disappointing. I thought you could have taken a step out and you didn't. I almost didn't know it was a bridge because it just sounded too like it was going to the same place. I thought you could have stepped out even for a short time into space in your bridge. And
but it opened it up to the guitar solo so well.
Yeah.
Say again?
It was open up to that guitar solo so well. I mean, it was.
Yeah, but I wanted to see it fly away for a second. Just me. You know, it was the bridge was just like didn't do anything for me. It's not about introducing the guitar solo. It's about you had an opportunity to like take off just for a second, and I think you could maybe do something more creative. So I got a story. So I was working on a project, and we hired the theremin guy. This is like $500,000 project, and we hired the theremin guy to come out. It was the new theremin guy because the old guy died, and he showed up with his 5 theremins, you know. And we were paying him like a couple $1,000, and he couldn't even play. He didn't. You try to sing him a line, he couldn't play it, and you tell him to like try to make something up, and he couldn't. He could make a couple of noises on all his theremins, and it was like we were there for 5 hours and didn't get a single bar of useful stuff from him, and it was just like so disappointing. It was so bizarre.
Okay, are we ready for the next song? Or anyone have more comments?
You know what I mean about the bridge, though? Or do you not see what I'm talking about?
I see what you're talking about, and that's certainly one approach. My next song has a little bit more developed bridge. This was sort of on point with what Chris said, in that it's sort of a break, like a slow part break that then brings in the guitar solo, which, I think is one of the high points of the song. Certainly you can add a line or two to the bridge. But at the time when I wrote it and stuff, I see your point.
It's not about making it longer or just having it go somewhere a little more.
It had a groove to it that I didn't necessarily want to completely derail.
Right.
And so when you slow it down with a bridge, the way the bridge slows down, I was a little concerned about derailing the groove and the momentum. But yeah, you make a valid point.
I'd add a couple girl singers too, female singers in the background.
You always do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't add a female singer. I think but I mean, I hear this in the vein of like 90s.
Oh, very, but I'm saying very slide in the back, just kind of underneath, like on the chorus, just kind of underneath there, just a little.
Barbara, it's the 90s band you were thinking of, Vertical Horizon.
Hey, one other thing on that second line in verse 2, you should say, you don't know how fast I can go instead of grow. I mean, grow through, it didn't make sense. But go, just say go, keep it simple.
Yep.
It's more understandable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okie
I'll give
dokie,
you a 9.
artichoke.
I'll give you a 9.
Okay.
That's good. I like 9s.
There you go.
Hey,
Should have kissed you. Is there more comments? I'm sorry.
hey, Bob Ellert, did he have a song critique that we didn't know that he had?
I turned something in late, but I was just going to say about that song, which I liked as well. I kind of was grooving off the Doors on that just a little bit, and
Yeah.
I see a soundtrack in
Yeah.
a movie. Kind of
Yeah.
the movie starts with that song.
Yeah.
I just had
Oh,
to,
the new Space Force theme.
yeah, exactly.
Well, the opening chord riffs are really good. I mean, they get your foot a tapping. It's a catcher there. That's a
Nice
good
work, Stephen.
That's a good radio. Oh, there's that tune. Oh, shoot.
That's what I'm hoping, and just the fact that you guys have mentioned that it reminds you of this great variety of artists, to me says there's a little bit of a lot of things in this song that maybe I didn't even appreciate originally, but you guys as neutral listeners, because I'm too deep in it to really hear some of that stuff, but you guys listening to it, which is why this critique is so valuable. But that if you hear that stuff into it, it's like, man, who knows what other people will hear too.
All right. So, Bob, did you pay for your?
No, I was late to the party.
Stephen has another song.
Okay, yeah, but I was just going to send him
Okay.
I missed you, I could have had you, I should have just reached out and grabbed you, but I missed you, I should have kissed you, I should have just kissed you.
We'll start over with the lyrics over here.
Well, before you start it, Harry, let
Yeah.
me just say that this is a metaphor for missed opportunities, but it also could be that friend you were hanging out with in high school or college that you chickened out of getting out of the friend zone. It starts with the chorus and then goes into the song. You can figure it out from there.
Okay.
Love that. That's great.
Yeah, and it's a rough studio mix.
Here we go.
I missed you, I could have had you, I should have just reached out and grabbed you, but I missed you, I should have kissed you, I should have just kissed you. Somehow we found ourselves alone after partying and driving you home, and I was blown away when you asked if I would stay. So we laid there side by side, but all we did was talk all night, and you were probably wondering too why I didn't make a move on you. had you. I should have just reached out and grabbed you, but I missed you. I should have kissed you. I should have just kissed you. I was young and I was scared. I was not mentally prepared, and I was so afraid that you just turned me away. We might have been such a hit, but I was nervous and I couldn't commit. But not a day goes by yet that I don't have a little regret. I missed you, I could have had you. I should have just reached out and grabbed you, but I missed you. I should have kissed you. I should have just kissed you. Let my opportunity slip. Blew my chance and missed my ship. If I could go back and do it again, we would be much more than friends. Friends, friends. I missed you, I could have had you. I should have just reached out and grabbed you, but I missed you. I should have kissed you. I should have just kissed you. I should have just freaking kissed you, but I missed you. I should have kissed you.
All righty, Joe, you want to go? We're just going
Yeah,
back.
I mean, it was a cool song. I mean, it works, I guess. I missed you, should have kissed you, should have just kissed you. That just didn't work for me. Except at the end and the outro. I like the outro when it kept going, but that just didn't work for me. It just didn't lead me in a good place. And I just thought it was kind of predictable. You know, I didn't get like an original feeling from it. A lot of craft in there, but I just you know, it's a good song. It's cute. It's well crafted and stuff. It just wasn't moving me. And partly the end of that end of the chorus just, I mean, it works. I just didn't think it just didn't do it for me.
Just too repetitive.
No, it just didn't. I mean, just musically, it just didn't leave me in a good place. That should have kissed you, should have just kissed you. It just it just didn't grab me as a hooky. I don't know what I did. I got no comment about what I do different. It just didn't grab me at all. And then I thought everything was kind of predictable for me. And I mean, maybe, you know, maybe all things are predictable, but compared to the last song, I felt like this was, you know, just not quite at that level as a song. You know, it's hard to just put words on, but like she said, you know, everybody has an opinion, right? And you can't go by that. But as a publisher, you know, the last one I might listen to again, and this one I probably wouldn't. And I don't know quite how to put it, except that by the end of the first chorus, I just thought, you know, it just didn't sit well with me. So I don't know how constructive that is. Well, except in the outro. I love the outro.
I really like the song. I've heard you sing it before, Stephen, and I like the predictability of it. I think it's very pop. I do think that you could do something a little bit more with the melody in the bridge.
The bridge, yeah, it's really bad. The bridge doesn't do anything for it. Kind of drags it down.
Yeah, I think it does.
But it's very poppish, girly, 16, 17, 18. I can hear them singing along with the young kid on the stage. Punk rock chords blazing, and the girls are out there screaming.
Yeah, if you punked it up, punked it up,
Yeah.
it might not be so predictable. You know, really punked it up.
Yeah.
It might move along and be, I don't know.
Hey, Steven.
Because I've been there. I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah, people can relate to the story, but
I was young.
I like it a little rougher, harder rock too. This was a little bit more of the producer's. He likes polishy, shiny stuff, and so yeah, maybe we'll go back and try and rough this one up a little bit and
just punk it out all the way, man. You know, slop it up and punk it out.
Yeah, I'd punk it up and
better that way.
And just it's definitely a short, quick tune that.
More fuzz tone, more cowbell.
Steven, do you intend for this to be on the same record as the one you played previously, as the Rocket in Flight?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you intend for this to be on the same record as the Rocket in Flight?
It's possible, yeah.
Because from a production standpoint, to me, these are exactly the same song.
Okay.
That's why punk it up.
The sound is.
Nasty it up.
What I was going to say is the sound is almost identical, like the effects on the vocals, the effects on the guitar, they could be the same song. And I think some slapback on these vocals could be kind of cool.
Okay. Yeah,
But I
we're
would-
doubling them, and it is you're right. It's a very similar vibe to the sounds of both of them. If we're on the same album, they'd be.
This seems to be a party song.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Similar is not bad. I just think you want to be careful within the same album project of bringing two songs that bring the same thing to the table. And I think here, you know, the theme that you're talking about here is different from the theme of the Rocket in Flight. There, I think the poppy, layered early 90s or, you know, late 90s rock band vibe fits really nicely because it is kind of that timeless theme. And it is the kind of song that you put on and you roll the windows down and you groove down the highway with that. And like I said, I think that there's a lot of commercial appeal in this. Because this is a love song, or because this is a song about a relationship, I think you run the risk of letting it be forgettable if you don't use either some elements of production or some elements of vocal effect or a really significant shift in the bridge to set it apart. And I think that the story you're telling here is really valuable. And I think that it definitely has a place on an album. And I think that this is something to which everyone can relate, like that feeling of regret. But I would love to see that manifest musically in a different way than it did on the last song. Just because I think that unless those stories stand apart sonically, you're not really doing them justice. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And the project has 15 songs. I'm going to whittle them down to 10 or so to be on the album, and the rest I'll either save for another album or do single. I don't even know what I'm going to do with them yet, but certainly the idea is to whittle down the 10 that I think go together the best.
Yeah.
And this may not make the cut, or we'll do something different production-wise and then let it make the cut just because of the storyline I think a lot of people can relate to.
Eric,
Sorry, Barb.
Are you trying to sell the songs or sell the album?
I have a concept of an album. Certainly, if you want to buy the individual song, I'm cool with that too.
Well, she's right. I wouldn't put them both on there. I would save one back for another album because they are.
I would either do that, but I think, you know, the philosophy to which I subscribe when I write with other people is to serve the song always.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, I think this song could be a really great Should Have Kissed You, but I don't think it's a really great Rocket in Flight. I think Rocket in Flight is a really great Rocket in Flight.
Yeah, we should have played this one first. But
what I would say is find what makes this song sonically unique in the same way that you've done that with the previous one, and let that element dictate where you go from here.
If you started out, I miss you, if it was totally punked out, it would rock, and we wouldn't be saying any of this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's totally different.
I'm going to explore that.
Yeah, it's the same as
the question I have for the panel.
I said it's the same as the other one, just not as good as the other one because it didn't, you know, But if you just like hacked it up, man, it would work.
And it's not
I have a.
Saying the same thing.
production notes, right?
I'd like to interrupt and talk and say something about this song.
Okay,
There is another aspect to this song. I see it as a comedy. It could be a comedy because we used to make fun of guys like this. Yeah, really. I mean, you could turn this into comedy. You could almost make it a duet, if you could.
You could.
I mean, it was
I'd rather punk it out.
yeah, and I kind of lean toward what Joe was saying as far as punking it out. I mean, you could really have fun with this. I think there's a danger of being too serious. You know, if you start sounding serious, people I don't think they're gonna like that.
Yeah, I hear that's the direction you can go. I don't know that fit well with the genre of the rest of the album, but yeah, you can definitely do that. Maybe I could do that with my test drive song.
Yeah.
If you put up 20 genres and say, what will this work best in? That would be the one. Everything about it, the phrasing, the chords.
What, punk or comedy?
No, punk.
Okay. I can go with that.
It's punk. It's punk.
One last question. You can see on the last line of the first verse, I was tossing between the last line being, and you're probably wondering too why I didn't make a move on you, which sounds a little aggressive to me a little bit, versus wondering why I didn't try to make you mine.
I like the first one better.
Yeah.
Why didn't make a move on you?
It's a little egotistical though.
Yeah, well, if you're punk though, why not, right?
You're just full of yourself. Anyhow.
All right.
Fuck it up, man. Bring it back.
Okay.
That was good. Thanks, guys. Girls, guys.
Okay. Let's see what else we got over here. Good job, Dr. Tram. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, I think we're down to Michael Ross. You gonna sing us a song, Michael? Let's see what we got.
Here, I did send you the files if you want to.
Yeah, let me see if I can go here to email and see if I can find
While
it.
you're looking that up, Bob, I did send you a link.
Robert's got a song here too. I see his song.
I just did that as I got on here tonight because I wasn't sure we were going to have enough. But we can always kick it to the next one. But
okay, it's Michael. You going to sing it and just show us the lyrics?
I can.
Or however you want to do it. Let's see what pops up.
Did I share screen? Oh.
Okay, here's you got the song there too. Let me get the song going.
Cool.
Okay, here comes the song.
Ever wonder why so many songs begin in bars? The singer on stage tells stories played on the guitar. There's a different story on everyone's lips. Tall tales, promises, and secrets that slip. People in bars have all kinds of stories and scars. They just want a song that explains who they are. That's why songs begin in bars. In the back rooms, the bottles are hoisted with cheers, with histories and fantasies, recounting all of their years. From a dark game champ who brags with a friend, to the lifelong friendships that never ever end. From a toast to a newborn and handing out cigars, to welcoming a soldier coming home from afar. There's a different story on everyone's lips. Tall tales, promises, and secrets that slip. People in bars have all kinds of stories and scars. They just want a song that explains who they are. Yeah, that's why songs begin in bars. All fun loving lovers stroll in and out, just like old jukebox songs. A mysterious girl with her own secret story sits at the bar. All their songs run from sad to serious, funny and bizarre. There's a different story on everyone's lips. Tall tales, promises, and secrets that slip. People and bars have all kinds of stories and scars. They just want a song that explains who they are. Yeah, that's why songs begin in bars. The bartender sweeps up the whispers and tears, just of the love that's been wetted by beers. The stains from the fights over life's betrayals, by lovers who sometimes are a little unfaithful. Yeah, people in bars have all kinds of stories and scars. They just want a song that explains who they are. Yeah, that's why songs. Oh, that's why songs. Oh, that's why songs begin in bars.
Who's singing?
Okay, I need that. Yeah, this guy named Luther Lewis, and he wrote the music to this, and and of course he changed some of the lyrics. So yeah, that we have. It's a work in progress still. That's why there's some discrepancies between the lyric sheet and the
I liked his lyric changes. I thought they were more singable and more true to the genre, the country genre. But damn, Michael, this is a good song. I loved it. I don't, you know, I thought it was great.
Yeah,
Really?
Luther's a guy, Nashville singer-songwriter. He's actually been in a movie or two, I think. Yeah, he's good. Give him credit for that, and I think he made good changes along the way. There have been a couple of other lyric changes. One of the problems is his hard drive got destroyed, and so we kind of have been suspended in the process of making the final revision to the song. But yeah, I think the idea gets across. Okay, I hope.
I don't think it does.
Yeah, it's kind of old school country, I think.
Okay. There's a lot of people out there that like that kind of country.
Yeah.
Other judge? Other comments?
I think it's definitely like straight ahead old school country. And I think, you know, perhaps this is the intent, but I think that this is definitely a bar song. I also agree that the lyrical changes that the performer made were appropriate. I think in terms of cadence and rhythm, they seem to fit the song itself a little bit better.
Yeah, that's inevitable when you're, I mean, we wrote the lyric first and then sent it to him, and you have to do that, and I think he did very well on that.
Yeah, and I think he preserved the essence of the song nicely. Like, I didn't feel like he cut anything essential.
No, I think he did a really good job of respecting the lyric that was there.
I know it's always hard as a songwriter to turn lyrics over to somebody and have them be like, actually, I'm going to slice and dice some of these.
Yeah, no, if it wasn't that though. I mean, yeah, I would have a hard time. I could do it if it's like if they make it better, but very often it's like some dumb thing. So yeah, no, he did a great job. I think. I love his voice, and I don't know. The original song title was that Larry had come up with this idea. All songs begin in bars, and we started working with that. But then I thought, that if we call it that, it's going to be So there's going to be a big fight over it. You know, people are going to like start arguing about it. So I changed it to "That's Why Songs Begin in Bars." But yeah, and we had cut out the, I don't know. Okay, so you're looking at the old version here, I guess. Which so we had cut out that intro line there. They say that songs begin in bars and find their way into guitars. I'm wondering if we should keep that in there.
What if you spoke it?
What?
What if it was spoken, those two lines?
It's a song. I don't think so. It's not rap, you know.
The thing about find their way into guitars is if you follow the cadence of the first line, they say that songs begin in bars and find their way into guitars. What it sounds like is and find their way into like the number 2 guitars.
Really?
That's how I hear it.
Really?
It should be into, not into.
Okay.
It's all how you phrase it when you sing it.
No, absolutely. But I think if you like sing it in the kind of country rhythm.
Yeah. So should we drop that intro? Because we had thought, yeah, we should drop that, but maybe we shouldn't.
I kind of like it starting with they say that songs begin in bars.
Okay.
And honestly, I'm not sure that you need the line about finding their way into guitars. I think it's a nice idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like going from they say that songs begin in bars to literally taking us into the back room bottles are hoisted with cheers, because then you're in the bar, right? You're where the song begins.
What if you change the word into with and change it to with, and find their way with guitars?
I don't know. For me, that doesn't preserve the essence of the line.
I don't think that most people would read that as in the number 2 guitars.
I mean, not if they had the lyrics in front.
No, but I mean even just listening to it. But maybe he just needs to sing it more, you know, concisely, to say into instead of into.
But the 2 lines, the first line says it all, and the second line just says a little. So if you want to introduce a song, they say the songs begin in bars. There's a great introduction. And find their way into guitars. Well, that's a much lesser line. Why start your song off with a lesser line? It doesn't mean near as much. It's not near as broad. It's not near as encompassing. Not a bad line. But man, if you're going to start off a song with an intro, they say that songs begin in bars. There's your intro.
And they just go right into
back.
In bottles.
Okay.
I play keyboards. What if I want to play my washboard? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
See that songs begin in bars. You know, that's, if you want an intro, there it is.
Just that. Yeah. Okay. That actually, I see what you're saying. I think maybe you're right.
That's a good intro. I would keep it. I don't know about spoken, but I would sing it differently, out of tempo, you know, and they say that songs begin in bars then. But
just a little beat, man, in the back room bottles are hoisted with cheers.
Yeah, man, because it just says it all. It just lays out your whole song there in one line.
Okay.
And the guitar thing is so specific that if I was playing harmonica, I'm a harmonica player, you know, and that just, you know,
yeah,
I play harmonica in many a bar,
mm-hmm.
And you know, I don't give a shit about the guitar players.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just yakking.
Do people actually say that? Is that they say that songs begin in bars? Did y'all make that up, or is it something you've heard people say?
I think. Well, it didn't start with. We didn't originally have that, and I can't remember if it was Luther or Larry that came up with that. It wasn't me.
You could almost do the opposite. All songs end in bars.
Well, that's okay. You write that one.
Harry, that's all songwriters end up in bars.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm just looking at it that way. I mean, it's a great country topic. And
one's about sadness and drinking, and one's about happiness and writing.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Anyway.
Well, I think this one's supposed to be focused on the stories and the songs.
I think that
you're
the
right.
way it's produced definitely draws attention to the story. That's one of the things I appreciate most about it is you can hear every word and you get a sense for the story that's being told. And I think especially in the genre in which you're working here, that's a really important thing to achieve.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping we can get back to this. I said I don't know. Mentioned that Luther somehow I guess dropped his hard drive and hasn't been able to.
Luther, he played guitar for Johnny Cash, didn't he? Wasn't it Luther?
He might have.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's.
He did.
Wait, that's not the same Luther.
Luther Lewis. I don't know.
I'm joking. Yeah.
You
I
can
know it's not the same.
You can find him on YouTube.
The other
Play
guy,
it, Luther.
his first name was Lewis. Luther.
His first name's Luther. Last name's Lewis. Yeah.
No, but
Yeah, I thought he did a great job bringing this to life. I was very pleased.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
all right.
All right.
Is that all we got?
No, we got about 10 more.
Oh, all right. Well,
No, we don't have that many more.
Another song. Did he ever get back on or?
Seth, are you there? He never came back. He must have got knocked off.
Well,
He left
We
a
got-
message on Facebook saying that he can't get back on the meeting, but he's listening.
Oh, I know what it was. I know why he can't get back on. We had about 20 people try to bomb us a while ago. I didn't bring that up while we were talking, and they were just like bang, 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 hitting it, getting into the waiting room, and they were sitting there ready to bomb us. They did that once before, and I wouldn't let them in. And
Is that mischief?
Huh?
Is that mischief?
Oh yeah, Zoom bombing.
A Zoom bomb. It was a definite Zoom bomb. I wouldn't imagine anything. And because all I had to do was click accept on one of them, and then they just flood us with the pornographic songs and all kinds of stuff.
What's a Zoom bomb? Never heard of
There's a song. Somebody write it. Zoom bomb. So
Well, we
It's just an interruption.
An interruption. We don't have a password.
Somebody hacking us in.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like a
And they were definitely trying to do that a while ago, and that's why Seth couldn't get back in. I can probably.
Do we have another one?
let's do Seth's other song. He's listening.
Is he listening? Okay. Well, I'm not sure what his other song is. Let's see if we can find it here.
There's
Tonight. Here's what it
Apologies
says.
up at the top.
It's apologies at the top.
Okay, let's see.
On your
Is this the one we did? That's the one we did a while ago. Okay.
By the way.
Here we go. Apology. Okay, he just sent that one then. Okay. No, that's not apology. That's he's apologizing for not being here.
Oh, I see.
Well,
he's got a start of a song. Apologies. We liked it.
Okay, Seth, if you can hear us, tell us what the name of your next song is, so I can search for it and find it. I don't know where it is.
tell you. You don't have
Tonight. There's Seth Ginn Tonight.
That was the song we did a while ago.
Oh.
Let's do Robert Eldert.
Okay.
Let's see if it came through. I did this at the last minute.
I
Send
didn't
me send me a bill, Barbie, and I'll pay you.
I got the lyric, but not the song.
Really?
Yeah.
Via email and in the chat, so you can just connect to that whenever you want to.
We can do it next time if you want.
Yeah, let's just do it next time if I don't have both parts there.
Yeah,
What's this zip?
You got it. Well, we can see if it's
zipped.
Let's see if it's zipped up. Maybe if it unzips, maybe there's a song in there.
No, did you
No.
drop Google Drive, because you'll have to give him access to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll punt to next time.
Okay, and let's see if we can find something for Seth. Oop.
Seth says the other one's called Old Man and an Old Dog.
Old man and old dog. Let's look up.
Because we've already done I've Got a Thing for You. I'm reading his comments on Facebook, which
Well,
of course is delayed. So
I can't click on this song yet.
Like it says trash.
These AT&T bills there.
This may be it. An old man and old dog. Here's his song. Okay, Seth, if you're listening, here we go. I'll put the lyric up as soon as we get going here.
know that the neighbors smile at us when they see us out for a stroll. The classic boy and dog cliche, give or take 65 years old. We look like shaggy characters from a long forgotten play. Just another old pair of vaudeville pals doing our act today. Just an old man and an old dog. We're just a couple of friends. An old man and an old dog, together until the end. We argue about which way to go and when it's time to stay. Like grumpy old men from the neighborhood, we're together on our walk today. Just an old man and an old dog, a duo from the beginning of time. An old man and an old dog, together we'll be just fine. Yeah, how you doing, buddy? Good walk today.
Don't everybody speak at once.
Well, I couldn't get past the production. I couldn't tell what the chords were. I think if you want to present it, I mean, the lyrics are kind of cute, but I think if you're going to present it, the production needs cleaning up because there were different instruments playing different chords and it was very discordant, and it's hard to have a constructive point of view for me. So,
Barb?
Well, I could really relate to the lyric of the song. I'd have to change the title. I'm just an old woman with an old dog. I liked it. It was, I do understand the production, but I was really trying to listen to the song.
I was too.
Production, and I think it's just a real cute little song. I don't think it's meant to be anything more than what it was, and I like.
I think the discordance was, obviously on purpose and gives the song character. My 2 cents, for what it's worth, would be I would probably just do that on either the chorus or the verse, and then let the rest of the song be a little more straightforward, so you can get some sense of chord progression and melody. But I do like that discordant vibe. I get it, and
like in the intro and stuff, I got it. But when the whole song went on like that, it was hard listening.
Yeah, not for the whole song.
It's a well written lyric, and a good structured lyric too.
I like everything that Seth does. When the way he sings his songs and the way he plays them and everything, and his lyrics are always just very real to me. So I like the song.
I like it too. I thought, and I agree with Stephen. It was the production was very deliberate. I think it could be tightened up a little bit more, and I think the vocal should come up front more, maybe a little more tuba and some cowbell. I don't know.
Yeah, cowbell makes anything better.
Right.
I love dogs, so I'm all in.
Too.
I was gonna say, I mean, the fact that for me this tells a story to which I relate, right? And I think that the relatability of the story of it makes it a really fun song for anybody who has a dog and understands this dynamic.
The chorus grabbed me when he first went into the chorus. An old man and an old dog were just a couple of friends.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I have a moment probably 3 or 4 times a day where I look at my dog and have a minor existential crisis about the fact that I'm going to outlive her. And by minor, I mean like a huge existential crisis. But I think that makes it work. And I think, you know, when you start to find an audience for this song, I think the way that you frame that story in terms of artwork and how you describe it when you send it, if you choose to send it to radio stations, I think that will grab people as well. And I think if you choose to put visuals to this, it stands out for me as a very visual story.
Yeah, you can make good video from it.
Good cartoon.
I was gonna say this would be a great video.
Okie dokie, folks. I think that's our last song.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna get out of this. I'm gonna stop sharing, and there we are. Looky here.
Can we clap for everybody who submitted their stuff? Because it was really great to hear it all.
Good songs. Good
Okay.
show. Good speaker.
And thank you, Emmeline. I think you made a hit tonight.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
There we go.
It was an honor.
There's everybody.
We look forward to Bob Ellert's song. Bob, are you new? Is he new to the group? You just joined? Have you joined yet? Hello?
No, he's been around for a while.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
I've never seen him before. Where you been?
He played on one of our showcases.
Oh, I missed it. Sorry. Anyway, I guess that's it for the evening, folks.
Thanks all.
Anybody that wants to hang around and chit chat, catch up, welcome to, I guess. As long as Harry will, you know.
I'll sit here as long as anybody wants to talk.
Yeah.
It was such a pleasure hanging out with all of you.
And
Thank you so much for
Thank you all very much.
Emmeline, I will look you up.
Yes, please do, Bob. It's so nice to meet you.
Mhm.
come to the showcase Saturday, folks. We got a good one.
Good night.
Harry,
How you doing, Chris? I didn't get to say howdy to you a while ago.
you're taping all these, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
got
this is all streaming on Facebook, yeah, and then I'm gonna take and parse out Emmeline's program and everything, so she'll have something.
but you have the past deals that you've done are on YouTube or
It's on YouTube, and most of it's on Facebook too.
Okay.
We're kind of in the process now of switching over to putting things on YouTube, but there's a lot of stuff over there.
Oh, I know. Yeah. But there's some stuff I want to look at with that what you did before. And I want to go over some of that stuff.
I have a different playlist for our monthly meetings. Harry.
Do what? I was just looking. Did Emmeline leave?
Yeah.
Looks
Okay.
like it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she said goodbye in the chat and took off.
Okay.
Are we going to have a different playlist for our monthly meetings on the YouTube channel? Like you
I'd like to,
you created a different playlist for our awards program, which was cool, I thought.
Well, we can do playlist on whatever we want, but you can kind of go overboard with playlists too. I'm just giving it some thought. We'll have it.
You know, I don't think we want to do a different channel because don't we have to have people subscribe to each channel if we do different channels? So do different.
One channel is all we need. The thing about YouTube, see, we got a whole bunch of more video that I want to incorporate in there, and I'm toying with the idea of when I get it all organized, I might have to delete what we have on YouTube and reload it, so it comes back in sequence in this that we want. You know, I downloaded everything on Facebook that we had back 2004.
Wow.
And it needs to be organized, and And now, see, I've got all of 2020 and 2019 on YouTube already. But if I go in there and I upload all of the past videos, it's going to be on top of that. You can reorganize sometimes in your playlist and the way you view it, but still, it's out of order. And
Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't.
It'd be cool to have
Yeah.
a wildflower playlist and then the Deep Ellum playlist.
we can do any of that, Barb. But and the reason it's not there right now is just for simplicity for the time being. Because if we get to put the cart in front of the horse, we'll.
I totally understand.
I just want to know
Yeah.
if you do some of these critique things that you've got those cataloged.
We don't have that much on the critiques yet, as far as some of these meetings we didn't even videotape and put on there. Usually, what we would we end up doing, whoever the speaker was, we would put the speaker on there, but we wouldn't put the critiques on there. And that's something that's kind of new.
Stop the recording right now, Harry, and then we can continue to talk. But then it's not recording for Facebook.
Good idea.
Okay, I can do that.
Just stop the recording. There you go.
Well,
Now
I'm
we-
going to sign off, everybody.
It's still live on
Right.
Facebook, though.
Bye, Joe.
Yeah, me
Okay.
too.
Hey, Barbie, did you hear the
Thank
COVID
you.
blues?
Did I hear the what?
The COVID blues? I sent it to you.
Oh yeah, that's good. It was good.
My mom got the COVID.
Oh,
no.
93 and has emphysema. Nothing
No.
happened.
wow, amazing.
All I
That's
did was move her into a facility where everybody was sick.
a miracle. That's a miracle.
Wow.
But she's fine anyhow. We all talk soon.